So let's just start with this one idea, an idea that kind of flips most financial advice on its head. What if the key to building wealth has less to do with what you know and way more to do with what's going on right inside your own head?
So, how do we get a handle on our own minds to actually build wealth? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. We're going to dive into a really powerful framework from the author Morgan Housel, and it completely flips the script on what we think investing is. See, it's not about being brilliant, it's not about having some complex strategy. It's about something way more simple, just pure endurance.
And just to be super clear, the promise here isn't some hot stock tip. Nope. It's a way of thinking, a mental model that can help you make better and frankly calmer decisions. We're going to explore why, in the world of money, your behavior is the most powerful and most overlooked asset you have.
Okay, so first things first. We have to take apart one of the biggest myths in all of finance. This idea that to succeed, you just have to be smarter than everybody else.
You see, Morgan Housel's big idea is that finance, it isn't a hard science like physics. It's a soft skill. It's all about psychology. The real game isn't happening on a stock chart. It's happening in your mind, in that constant battle between greed and fear.
And this right here just says it all. I mean, you can have a PhD in finance, you can build the world's best spreadsheet, but if you panic and sell everything when the market dips, that PhD is completely worthless. A single moment of losing your cool can wipe out years of being smart. So emotional control isn't just part of the game, it is the game.
And that brings us to the single most important rule in this whole framework. It's not about winning big, it's about making sure you never ever get forced to lose. I mean, think about it for a second. We hear these stories all the time, right? People striking it rich with one lucky bet, a hot startup, some crypto coin that goes to the moon. But how many of those stories end with, and they stayed rich forever? Yeah, not so many. Housel points out that getting rich and staying rich are two completely different skills. Getting rich can be about luck, it can be about taking huge risks. But staying rich, that takes something else entirely. It takes a little bit of paranoia, and it takes the discipline to just endure. So we kind of have to redefine what risk even is. It's not just the market going up and down, no. Real risk is that one thing, that knockout punch that forces you out of the game completely. A job loss, a panic sell, whatever it is. Because if you're not in the game, you can't get the benefit of the most powerful force in finance, which is compounding.
Now, to really make this idea of survival stick, let's look at an amazing analogy from the world of sports.
So in the 400-meter final, Van Nierk gets stuck in the absolute worst lane, the outside lane. This means he's physically in front of everyone, so he can't see a single other runner. He has no idea if he's going too fast or too slow. He can't react to them. He has literally no choice but to ignore everyone else and just run his own plan. And what happens? He doesn't just win, he shatters the world record. And that is the lesson for investors. The market is just a huge crowd of people playing different games. They have different goals, different timelines. If you try to pace yourself against them, you're going to get thrown off. You have to run your own race. So, if you're going to run your own race, what tools do you actually need? Well, it isn't about being smarter. It's about being more strategic with how you behave. And this brings us to a really key distinction Housel makes, the difference between being rational and being reasonable. You see, a rational plan, that's the one that looks perfect on a spreadsheet, but it's useless if you can't stick with it when things get chaotic. A reasonable plan, though, is one you can actually follow. It's the one that lets you sleep at night, and that's the one that's actually going to work in the real world. Because what's the whole point of making reasonable decisions? It's to avoid messing up the magic of compounding. Every time you panic, every time you sell, you reset that clock back to zero. The best plan isn't the one that looks best on paper. It's the one you can stick with long enough for that growth to really kick in. So the big takeaway here is this. Your real unfair advantage as an investor isn't having a higher IQ. It's patience. It's your time horizon. It's the ability to just stay on course for years or even decades and let time do all the heavy lifting for you. All right, let's keep building on this, because running your own race is so much harder today than it's ever been. We're just swimming in a sea of social media and information overload.
You know, the fear of missing out, or FOMO, it's not a new thing. In fact, one of the smartest human beings to ever live, the guy who literally discovered gravity, fell for it in a huge way.
So back during the South Sea Bubble in 1720, Newton got in, made a pretty good profit, and sold. Smart, right? But then, he had to sit there and watch his friends keep getting richer and richer. The mania got to him. He jumped back in near the very top and lost a fortune, £20,000.
And just to put that into perspective for you, that's like losing over $3 million today. A total disaster, driven entirely by the fear of being left behind. And this was his famous conclusion. The genius who can map out the entire solar system was completely powerless against herd mentality. It just perfectly shows that markets are driven by human psychology, not just neat and tidy formulas.
And today, that madness is on steroids. It's social media, it's 24/7 news headlines, all designed to make you feel envious and anxious. The algorithm is basically feeding you the exact same stuff that would have made Newton lose his mind. It makes running your own race harder, for sure, but also way, way more important.
So how in the world do you filter out all that noise? Well, it really just comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful question you can use to frame every single decision you make. This is it. This is the ultimate filter. Not, will this make me the most money? Not, what's everybody else doing? Just ask, does this increase my chances of staying in the game? Because in the end, the winner isn't the smartest person or the fastest person. It's the person who's still standing at the finish line.